Imagine spending thousands of dollars on your dream PC only to have it compromised by that one component most people overlook, the power supply. Today we're diving in deep into the heart of your PC, where making the right choice can mean the difference between a powerhouse and a costly paperweight. Stay tuned as we unveil the secrets of the perfect power supply that safeguards your investment and supercharges your system. Hi, Sorin here. So today we're talking about how to choose the right power supply or PSU for your PC, whether you're upgrading or building a new system from scratch. A small note, I'm referring to the standard power supplies, the ones you see in popular online stores. I mention this because some brand systems like HP, Dell, Lenovo, Fujitsu, and others use power supplies with dedicated or unique connectors. This means that a power supply you buy from Newegg or Micro Center is likely not going to directly fit, or you might need some adapters for it to work. This video does not cover those cases. So why does the power supply matter? The power supply is responsible for powering your entire system with electricity. Besides that, it protects components such as the motherboard, the CPU, the GPU, SSDs, and other things you have from voltage fluctuations and even surges. A quality power supply has a multitude of built-in protections that can often prevent a disaster or serious damage. And last but not least, undersized power supply, even if it's of good quality, can bring instability to your system. That is, when the load increases, like when you're gaming or doing something that consumes more resources, your PC just might shut down or become very unstable. To conclude this part, when buying a power supply, I do not recommend buying a second hand or a refurbished one. Buy a new one. So let's briefly talk about the things to look out for when buying a power supply. The power in watts and form factor. To know whether you need a 550 or 800 watt power supply or something else, you need to find out how much power your system requires. And I mean all your components, from the CPU to fans and drives, everything. You can use online calculators. The blog article provides some suggestions. Find it in the description. You can also use builds from PC Part Picker, so there are options. And even manufacturers like Seasonic have calculators on their websites. But if you use an online calculator, you usually add something to that result as a safety measure and also to have room for a future upgrade. Even if we won't probably change major components like the graphics card every year, but maybe we will. You might add a fan or two SSDs over time, so it's good to have a margin of error. Regarding the form factor, meaning the size, the most common is ATX, which is the classic standard power supply. There are also SVX, power supplies for small cases, and even TFX for slimmer ones. Flex ATX is another option, but for standard desktop system, you most likely need an ATX power supply or SFX if it's a smaller build, like a smaller case like a cube. So, efficiency rating. All PC power supplies come with an efficiency rating. The standard is 80 plus. This means that the power supply is guaranteed to be 80% efficient when operating at 20, 50, and 100% load. To put the 80% in simple terms, it means that 80% of the power drawn from the socket is transformed into usable power for the system, while 20% is dissipated at heat. So always choose an 80 plus gold power supply. Usually 80 plus gold certified power supplies have the best efficiency to price ratio. Of course, there's also 80 plus platinum and titanium, but the efficiency only increases by a few percent while the price increases significantly. So you won't recoup your investment or anything. And in terms of quality, there are many very good 80 plus gold power supplies. Protections and standards. So just about any quality power supply includes features such as active PFC, OPP, overpower protection, OVP, over voltage protection, UVP, OCP, that's over current protection, OTP, over temperature protection, SCP, short circuit protection. Yeah, and explanations for each of these terms can be seen on the screen, or you can read about them in the blog article. There's a link in the description. Some manufacturers might abbreviate them differently, but a quality power supply will have such protections, always. Optionally, but ideally, if you're buying a new power supply now in 2024, it would be useful for it to be certified ATX 3.0. ATX is an international standard that has received revision over time. The latest revision includes the most technological improvements. I won't go into details here, but if the power supply is over 450 watts and is ATX 3.0, it also has a new connector for the high consumption NVIDIA graphic cards. Speaking of connections, besides the classic connectors such as the 24-pin ATX for the motherboard, you want to make sure you have enough connectors for your graphics card's PCI Express, enough SATA power connectors for your SSDs and hard drives, and possibly molecs if you have some odd fan controller or some other devices. Yeah, and an 8-pin connector for the CPU, but almost all power supplies should come with one these days. Modular power supplies uh, allow you to connect only the cables you need. This results in a better organized case interior and somewhat improved airflow within the case. There are also semi-modular power supplies which have some sort of the cables integrated, usually the 24-pin one, and the rest are modular. And of course there are the classic non-modular power supplies. Brand and warranty is not a cliche. The brand and warranty matter. You shouldn't blindly follow this, but there are significantly higher chances of getting a good product if it's made by a reputable manufacturer that comes with at least 5-year warranty. I usually go for Seasonic, Corsair or Be Quiet. So far, I haven't had any problems with their models, or not yet at least. Try to buy a power supply with at least 5 years manufacturer's warranty. There are models that offer up to 10 years. It's not for no reason. The manufacturer has data and has tested the components enough to be confident in offering such a lengthy warranty. No one will offer you 7 years instead of 2 years warranty just to take a loss. Other details such as lower noise levels, such as 0 RPM functions, meaning that the fan doesn't spin until a certain load or temperature level is reached, are nice to have but not mandatory. RGB, LED screens and other such features, well, I don't know what to say. It's a matter of taste. The color of the power supply might matter if it's visible in your case and you have a special build. If you care about appearance, it would be a shame to have everything in white and then install a power supply that is black. The fan is also important, but just about any decent power supply comes with 120mm, 135 or 140mm fan. Technically speaking, a larger fan means reduced noise. You might not notice much difference between 120 and 140mm fan in your power supply in many situations, but it's something to consider. In any case, steer clear of power supplies with small fans like 80mm. Now, reviews. Regardless of the situations, once you've narrowed down to a few models, give them a good Google search. Look for a review wherever possible. And if there isn't one because maybe no one has gotten around to it or it just hasn't happened for your specific model, maybe there's one for a very similar model but with a different power rating. That matters too, because it often gives you at least an idea about that manufacturer's series. For example, Seasonic has Core GX 650 and 550. So you can rely on reviews on online stores, local and international, and look beyond the first page of Google results as your time allows because it's in your interest to buy something of quality. You're looking for major issues, like a bad batch in case of multiple power supplies failure, or if a recall has been announced, users are going to complain. Usually, such issues stand out and people talk about them, either on forums, on Reddit, on YouTube. Word gets around when we're talking about a model with a high number of defects. So that's about it. My advice is to allocate enough budget to buy a quality power supply, powerful enough with good reviews from a good manufacturer, and always Google the model to make sure you're getting a reliable power supply. You can find some suggestions from various power levels, and at the end of the article on TechieShow.com, the link is in the description. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you found the video useful and give it a like. Bye.